Hey everyone, it's What DIVOC time. I am now at chapter 6 of What DIVOC, 6 of 20. It's called Walking, 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 Week 4, April 6th to the 12th, 2020. A week has gone by and Kate's long-term facility is now in complete lockdown mode. It's more than just a rumor, it's a fact. Deaths in her type of facilities are happening at an alarming rate compared to the main population. At the beginning of this pandemic, there were fears for every age bracket and all the unknowns that came with this new virus. Some things have become clearer now. This is a virus slicing through long-term care facilities. Story after story of heartbreak and pain permeates from across the province and country. Lando says, on April 9th, 2020, out of 66 deaths in Quebec, 49 were residents of long-term care facilities. Here's another example. 8 people were reported dead and 28 infected at a Verdun long-term care facility. At the Centre d'Hébergement à Sainte-Dorothée in Laval, officials said 105 of 174 residents tested positive. 8 residents have died. What the hell is going on here? What's happening in those facilities? Who is running them? Do they know what they're doing? Is it upper level of government? Something is not right here. The strange thing about today's broadcast is that LeBlanc, Jake, Mac, Monroe, and Evelyn, and even Kate are listening to the wake-up call. Yep, some of them are regular listeners, but others never listen to him ever. The scapegoating, blame game, and easy targeting that Lando is spewing today, while factual in the death rate, are completely self-serving on multiple levels. Level number 1, his ratings. They keep going up and up and up. Nobody wants boring and apathetic brand content, so he is going straight for the jugular and taking no prisoners. Level number 2, his personal life. Taking cheap shots at people he knows who work in those facilities. This guy is a real piece of work, all right. Vindictive, rude, crass, mean. Unfortunately, it's what the masses want to listen to in the morning because they are surely not turning in to the good news channel. Yeah, we don't have an all good news channel. They don't exist. Lando ends his show with a special notice that he'll be also doing the afternoon drive show with some special guests and updates on the emerging catastrophe happening in the city and the province. Oh, by the way, happy Easter holiday season, everyone. I guess we didn't get that thing under control. Who is protecting our seniors? Who? His second guessing and lowbrow, told you all backseat driver rhetoric is nauseating and infuriating to some, namely Kate. Evelyn, Monroe, and Kate are sitting at the breakfast table looking at one another. After hearing that tirade on the radio, Monroe in his insensitive manner says, "Well, he's not wrong with everything he said. The stats speak for themselves." Both women look at him, knowing it's not the factual part of his dialogue that they're upset about. It's about the cheap shots and the throwing oil on the fire banter. And he said, "Who is running these places?" He knows damn well someone who is running one of these places. Evelyn shoots back to Monroe. Your daughter. Your daughter is running one of these centers, doing everything she can like she's always done. And the mother of his child, that's who. What a... Evelyn is so close to swearing, but Kate cuts her off. "Mom, I'm going for a walk. He's not worth getting upset over. He has never been." Kate heads out of the house, as this is the first day in 4 weeks that she's had a day off work. At the other end of town, Jake takes his own walk and stops by Mac's house early that morning to bring him coffee and get his list for the grocery store adventure he's about to go on. That's where they listen to the morning show, as Mac wants to hear the end of it before they go for their walk together. That's why Jake hears it also. After hearing this loser on the air blaming long-term care facility managers, such as Kate, Jake can't stand the blowhard at all. Imagine how much he'd hate Lando if he knew that Lando is the father of his new girlfriend's son. Before they go, they check in on Arthur, who's still fighting this lingering cold. While he's not looking at his best, he's grumbling as per usual, so he must be feeling somewhat okay, they surmise. LeBlanc has been driving his delivery truck all morning and also tuned into Lando as per usual. He also feels that Lando has gone overboard today, harping so much on healthcare workers. Nobody wants to even do those jobs, he tells himself. He should cut them some slack. They are overworked, underpaid, and now even underappreciated. LeBlanc will reach out to Jake later on to see if he wants to do some social distancing thingy and have a beer. Even if they're really not supposed to be doing neighbor or buddy visits, as it's supposed to be only essential visits to grocery stores and whatnot. But come on, we're going overboard here. Well, that's what LeBlanc thinks anyway. While still fuming about Lando's insults, Kate calls Jake this time as she's taking a walk. Jake is the only person who might be able to walk her away from wringing the neck of her son's father, so she wants to hear Jake's voice. Jake immediately picks up. He knows this was her day off, and he's pleasantly surprised to get a call from her so early. "Hey, how's it going, Rockstar?" Jake answers. He has no idea that she's been listening to the same jerk on the radio that he heard this morning, but he soon will. "To tell you the truth, you've been suggesting we meet up." She takes a pause and continues. "I so could use a hug from you right now." Jake is ecstatic about the blatant disregard of law and order that Kate has just suggested, but he's also a little concerned. "That would be great, but what's up? What happened? Are you okay?" Kate goes into some very personal details about Ryan's dad. Jake previously hadn't dared to ask about such things: who the father of her son is, what happened to him, and why. Why does she never talk about the father of her boy? Then Kate drops the shocker. The same loudmouth on the radio he heard this morning, who blasted employees of long-term care residents, is the father of her son. Wow, I had no idea. Jake is stunned silent, processing some more, all the new info that he's been bombarded with. He knows Kate is hurting, and she's opened up her emotional Pandora's box. She talks about the deaths in her facility, some of which are COVID-related. Nothing to the extent of other facilities, but still, she's stressed and it just comes out. And on top of it, she can't stand Lando at all. And while he may be Ryan's father, he is a first-class jerk and has never shown any interest in his son's life. This also makes Jake despise Lando even more. She ends the story with, "And now Ryan is talking about wanting to go live with him. I'm afraid he just might run off one day." Jake talks her down from the ledge again, and while it doesn't make everything better, it does calm her. She says, "Thank you for listening. I know this was kind of heavy, and I feel much better right now. Can we talk a little bit later on?" "For sure," he says. Jake immediately thinks that he must do something for her, but what? Mac has been listening in on the conversation a bit, seeing his son compassionately, and dare he say it, lovingly listen to a woman on the other side of the phone who appears to have struck a chord with him. Mac tells him, "Thank you for the walk, son. Think about what you can do for her, and I'll see you later with the groceries." Emma heads out of the car in her driveway and knocks on the window. "Are you coming inside to spend some time with us today, or are you hanging out in the car all day?" William, her husband, tells her, Yeah, I know." He will play a couple more hands on his laptop and he'll head inside. Emma looks at him and shakes her head. This relationship is going nowhere fast. The living conditions, the lack of intimacy and understanding are driving monumental wedge between these two. As Emma is about to get back in the house, William inexplicably yells out the car window, "Go boss someone else around, Emma. You sound more and more like your sister and your father every day, telling people what to do all the time." Emma doesn't react, as she sees Lizzie is in the window watching both of them. It's breaking Emma's heart to see her daughter witness her parents fighting in front of her eyes. She does not notice that Ryan happened to also hear and see William's outburst as he was sitting on the front porch of the neighboring home. This is the first time someone else has seen this disrespect from William to his wife outside of the three people who live in that home. Jake is now at the grocery store doing a quick pickup of items for himself, his dad, and Arthur. But his mind is on Kate and trying to cheer her up. Considering he's at times a little oblivious to his surroundings, it is even worse right now. He's not paying attention to all the arrows on the floor, going up the wrong aisle and touching everything and getting too close to people, as he's not focused as he should be. A few looks from other customers and snarky remarks go right over his head. He can't find an item and tries to get a straight answer from a couple of the staffers, but to no avail. There's also an uptick in the number of customers wearing masks. Not many, but a few. He wonders, where's that kid who helped me out last time? But he's nowhere to be found today. Jake hasn't picked up everything on the list, but he's not going to look for that stuff all day. A lady tells him to watch where you're going as he turns to her and thinks, geez, take a chill pill, lady. This has been a very long day for the radio producer John Smith, since Lando is doing 2 shows in one. He has had to take Lando's insults all day as he waits for the wake-up call afternoon version to start. Lando, however, is raving about his ratings. His show has amassed, and he isn't shy to let everyone else in the station know about it repeatedly. He talks with Lana on the phone. Lando is a piece of work. He leaves nobody immune from his incessant jabs and insults as he's complaining about Lana for not even listening to his show this morning. What kind of girlfriend are you? You might be the only person who doesn't listen to me in the morning. Lana shoots back, well, nobody else has to listen to you for the rest of the day except for me. John laughs as he overhears her quick, snarky response. Lando, however, notices and says, I gotta go, and hangs up on Lana. He turns to John. What are you laughing at? Listen to me, bug. If I want you gone, you are gone. So you better be careful what you laugh at. And be careful about who you laugh at. Lots of people are out of work right now, and I don't think you want to be one of them, do you? John decides to bite his tongue again, but he really needs to get a new gig. This is not the work he wants. Lando walks into the studio room and yells again, watch it, bug boy. No average schmo like a John Smith will ever stand up to Lando Prump. I run this joint. I run this town. I should even run this damn country. John Smith, you are a Mr. Nobody. And a million John Smith nobodies could ever be able to bring me down. As it seems, taking a walk is the newest trend for everyone. LeBlanc is doing his own stroll down the street, taking a walk aimlessly to nowhere. But he needs something to do. He turns the corner and sees that the all things COVID reporter on the spot, Ms. Zoe Sassy, is doing another news report. This time she is doing a streeter, asking folks, how are they doing? LeBlanc just can't help himself and makes his way to the small crowd standing around her as she interviews those who are interested to speak. LeBlanc weaves sneakily closer and closer to the camera, sidestepping between the 6 or so other people who are maintaining and respecting the social distancing guidelines. But LeBlanc is dead set on trying to be on camera. As LeBlanc approaches the reporter, an elderly lady yells at him, hey, isolate yourself, isolate. Keep away, 2 meters, 2 meters. LeBlanc is a tad annoyed as he feels a little embarrassed to be singled out like that. Lady, I'm not close to you, come on now, he answers. She pulls out a pointer and responds, this is 2 meters, 2 meters, get back, get back. Miss Sassy sees the commotion happening beside her and speaks into the microphone. As you can see, new distancing rules may take some time for everyone to follow and adhere to. LeBlanc looks around as the others all stare annoyingly at him now. He tries to pretend nothing has happened, and he tips his cap to Miss Sassy and begins to jog off. Of course, he looks back and falls straight into a bunch of boxes without the local government liquor store, otherwise known as the SAQ, the Société des Alcools de Québec. He decides to duck into the store before annoying anyone else gives him a weird look. And just as LeBlanc makes his way into the store, he accidentally bumps into a gentleman who drops his 2 bottles of Absolute vodka. The man yells at LeBlanc, watch where you're going, you idiot. And the store clerk rushes over and hands the man 2 replacement bottles. LeBlanc is standing like a deer caught in the headlights, not wanting to move or break anything, as all the action and cleaning up happens around him. Shit, I didn't even get a chance to say sorry to that guy, LeBlanc mumbles to himself as he decides he's going to buy a bottle of something to help numb his own embarrassment of the day. By the way, LeBlanc hasn't passed along any DIVOC to anyone else since Arthur's episode. Therefore, the unknowns and how exactly this virus spreads remain hit and miss. DIVOC has likely left his system by now, maybe. The afternoon is dragging, and Kate has been upset all day and needs some sister time. She and Emma haven't been able to connect like they usually do, so they make a point to both be free that afternoon to do a walk and talk together, of course with social distancing. First, they both vent about their frustrations and worries, and even if both are living hard times at work, they've been consummate professionals that they've always been. The bigger challenge is at home for them, as neither can control the spiraling negativity and anxiety in each of their households. Emma has clearly explained that she and William are in a rough patch, and while marriages are being put to the test right now across the country, it's his total lack of interest in their daughter that has started to bring up some serious questions about their future for Emma. How can he cannot see how this is taking a toll on Lizzie? Yeah, we fight and neither of us is perfect, but whatever. But Lizzie needs us more now than ever. And he's checked out on me, and worst of all, he's checked out on her. Kate asks her sister the question, "What are you going to do?" Emma replies, "I'm not sure, I just don't know. This is not the time to be apart, and how would that work anyway?" "Do you still love him?" Kate asks her. That question is Emma stumped as she walks a little while longer before answering. She looks up a couple of times when she thinks she's ready to answer, but then continues walking. Emma and William have been with each other ever since high school, and he has been the love of her life, her high school sweetheart. But he was a different man, and things have changed. Is it time to bring out that word, divorce? Does she still love him? She's not sure. That can't be a good sign. Emma simply says, "I don't know, sis. I just don't know anymore." The ladies continue to talk, and this is a form of therapy that each of them needs. Emma finally says, "And you, this new guy, what's the deal? Mom tells me you speak to him every night, and she hears you laughing coming from your room." Laughing. Kate Celeste, you are not a laugher. I want some details, and I want them now. Kate finally breaks out a smile and says, "I really like him. There is something about him. I can't explain it. He just makes me feel happy. I feel better when I'm talking with him, and he has a way to make me feel right, like the world can be and is a good place." "Are you in love?" Emma blurts out. "Of course not. We haven't even had a second date. We've only been on the phone ever since that first date. We haven't even..." Kate stops short. "So," Emma says quickly, "I've done all the things with my husband and then some, and I feel nothing right now, absolutely nothing of what you just described. I would rather have quality time over quantity time any day. And why couldn't it work? It's a strange time, and love works in mysterious ways, sis." "Yeah, but this is not the perfect time to try to get serious with someone," Kate responds, trying to downplay and temper her own excitement over the progress and possibilities of this relationship. Emma finally adds, "There's never a perfect time for anything. Life happens, and when it's something good, just go with it. Let it happen. It doesn't have to be perfect or complex or planned. It can just be. Love is supposed to be simple." The ladies' walk has lasted much longer than they anticipated, but it's been exactly what they needed. As they make their way back to their homes, they both go in for a hug and realize they can't. So they give themselves an air hug. William sees them walking up and curtly says, "Where did you go walk to? Timbuktu? I have an online game ready to start in 10 minutes, and I'm not prepared. Lizzie also didn't like what I made to eat, so you're going to have to get her something else." Both women look at each other with a look that continues to cement Emma's sense of despair with her marriage. William walks past her and slides into the car in the driveway. Both women have no idea that he has a sports bag with 2 bottles of absolute vodka in it. He bought those earlier in the day. Back at the radio station, Lando begins his second show of the day. He is primed to take another strip off the healthcare system, the government, and anybody in the crossfire. He doesn't offer much in terms of actual solutions or realistic alternatives, but no matter, that's not what he's paid to do. It's always easier to be the Monday morning quarterback or the backseat driver who gets to complain after the fact than to be the one trying to provide the service. Jake has just dropped off the groceries at his dad's place with a quick conversation about Arthur again, who has been taking a nap and didn't come out to greet Jake with the supplies. As he's driving home, he's locked into the wake-up call. Why? Well, now he's extremely curious about Kate's ex-lover and the father of her child. Considering Lando upset her so much this morning, Jake finds a purpose to listen to this bozo and be more in the know. As Lando continues to berate everyone who is on the front lines for not doing enough, Jake decides, "I'm calling to this butt-face and I'm going to put him in his place." He's already eager to tell Kate about how he'll handle Lando a dose of his own medicine and defended her honor and healthcare workers all together. He will embarrass this fool, something fierce. But would Kate really want him to call Lando's show? Not so sure about that. Lando is blasting some callers and loving others. Tell me, Montreal, what do you think? Who is messing this up? Is it right? Is it wrong? It's your turn to give the wake-up call to all those people who are making decisions. Jake is nervous as he's never called into a radio show, but he's ready to open a can of whoop-ass. Producer John Smith screens the phone calls before the caller is put on the air. John says, "Thanks for calling the wake-up call. What's your name?" Jake immediately chirps in, "My name is Jake Enola, and you're a total face jerk face." John answers back, "Jake, thanks for the insights, but I'm John, the show's producer, and I'm thinking you may want to speak to Lando, the other jerk face. I'll get you on next if you'd like." Jake immediately apologizes, but he's primed for the verbal showdown. Lando gets to Jake. "Next up is Jake. Let her rip, big guy. What's your take?" And Jake lets loose. "I've never been a fan of you or your show, but I heard you this morning, and enough is enough. You blame healthcare workers, government decisions, people's individual choices. You're complaining about everyone. Who gave you the right to be such a jerk? People are trying their best, and nobody has lived through this before. There are no blueprints for this, and your insults don't help the situation." Lando jumps in. "Jake, is it? You're the bleeding heart, kumbaya, singing, let's get all along, peace and love, ça va bien aller type of guy, right? You stepped up to the wrong dude, buddy. Because of the softies like you and other crybabies like Johnny Boy across the glass over there, our society's infected with a virus of political correctness. You want me to be nice? People are dying, and somebody needs to answer for that, Jake. Whom should it be, Jake? Nobody? You? You have a mom and dad, Jake?" Jake answers, "My mom passed years ago, but I still have my dad." Is that all, Jake? Before Lando cuts him off. "Imagine if he dies, Jake. You want us to say it's okay? It's life. It just happens?" Nah, you would want someone to answer for his death if it was preventable. "What do you do, Jake?" Jake is thrown by the question and responds, "Well, actually, right now my work is temporarily shut down, but it's only..." Lando now cuts him off again. "No work, Jake. Unemployed and now sucking off the tax papers. How long should that last, my friend? My listeners are not interested in subsidizing you forever, buddy. What about your wife and kids, Jake?" Jake is now ready to respond quicker. "I don't have a family, but that's not the..." But once again, Lando annihilates verbally a first-time caller to the radio show. "Let's get this straight, Jake. An unemployed, unattached loner thinks I'm being mean. Well, buddy, get a life, because the rest of us want to get back to ours. People are dying, losing their jobs, and real Canadian families are struggling with decisions that are made by our leaders and the people in positions of power. The decisions need to be the right ones, and they should be held accountable for their choices, period." "Thanks for the call, Jake. Call again anytime." "You know what? Forget that. You're banned, loser. I, Lando Prump, will keep the fire to the feet of anyone who doesn't get the job done." Lando now cuts to commercial filled with pride. Jake is dumbfounded on the other end of the phone with the dial tone ringing in his ear. That did not go according to his plan. Meanwhile, Monroe is smiling at the beating this chump on air named Jake just took from Lando, while Mac was also listening from his own home. He has a huge feeling of empathy for his son who didn't get a fair chance to speak his mind. Jake now takes a few hours to lick his wounds and ensure that he's in the right frame of mind to call Kate. He has set up a nice surprise for her, however, as the population is still being instructed by public health not to leave home other than for the work or essential visits to grocery stores or whatnot. Jake knows full well that Kate plays by the rules, so he doesn't want to push her to do something in person. He decides to go out on a limb and does a quick internet search and easily finds Kate's home address, which is not that hard to find, and even when people still think their information is private on the internet, it's not everyone. He has a nice dinner delivered to her house by a local caterer. Instead of the regular texting and phone call, he also plans for a FaceTime video call, as he hopes both of them will end up eating at their respective homes while trying to mimic a second dinner date. The thought is sweet and very much appreciated by Kate, as she's not used to receiving romantic surprises, so she doesn't even mind that Jake kind of crossed a little bit of the privacy comfort level and figured out her own home address. She naively realizes her home address can be decoded rather easily by anyone through her digital trail. The worrywart syndrome in her doesn't get the best of her during this moment, and she's focused on the romantic gesture by Jake instead. The one constant they both feel during this increasingly confusing time is the calming, enjoyable moments that they get to share while talking to one another. Without saying it out loud, both are grateful for the sounding board and the empathetic ear each gives to one another. They both wondered individually where their overall mental health would be if they didn't have each other as an outlet for the everyday stresses of life right now. The dating distancing plan is still working, and of course, Jake doesn't mind mentioning about his failed called-in attempt to Lando's show, and luckily, Kate didn't mention anything either. Since she wasn't listening, he's not going to mention that he called. That, my friends, was Chapter 6 of What DIVOC. See you next time.